Good afternoon. Wow, it's quite the backdrop. I'm Cav from the Stridecast. Thanks for tuning in. Third episode today, and I'm super excited to be with Jesse Cera. He's the general manager at a new Joey restaurant location at called the Shipyards in North Vancouver, just off the Lonsdale Quay. So that's the backdrop we have today. Jesse, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciated the invite.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun. You're very welcome. I said I'm excited to have you because something I don't think I've ever disclosed to you. I've certainly done it with Salh and my wife Salh, so she's brought Jesse and I together through the world of Joey. Is that you're one of my favorite. So if I had leadership crushes out there, I think being able to kind of observe you and what it is that you do professionally, it's been so much fun to do that. It's just a treat being in your location. So when I was drafting up this list of people that of who it is that I'd like to connect with and spend some time with, you were right up there. So yeah, thank you again. Awesome. And I'm glad that we're both excited. Tell us what's happening, Jesse. Tell us a little about yourself actually first, professionally, and kind of, how you're spending your days under normal circumstances.
For sure. Yeah. Sorry. So you cut out there just a little bit. Do you mind repeating the question? I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. Just looking to give viewers a chance to understand what it is that you do, what your capacity is under normal circumstances within the restaurant group.
Yeah. So I'm the general manager. As you said, we just had finished opening up. We opened up January 23rd, the Joey Shipyards location, which is our flagship store. And I've been a general manager at the Joey restaurant group now for 12 years and with them for 18 overall. And then just day to day is running the restaurant and operations and all the hiring and all those sorts of fun things. And we hired over 255 people to work at this location.
255?
Yeah. Yeah, we probably hired a few more than that, but we've retained 255 for sure in our process. So we did over 2,000 interviews to do the opening the right way.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many of those were you a part of? Do you know?
Oh, I did all of. I guess maybe there's a couple of interviews I didn't do because we had somebody get freed up eventually with me and started to do them. But I was there for, I would say, 95% of them and 95% of the hiring.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now
that's the best part of the job.
Cool. Elaborate on that.
The interview process is really interesting. Like even in not hiring people, you're still meeting dynamic people all the time and getting to hear so many amazing stories and backgrounds. I think you get a lot of perspective as what you're capable of doing. You interview someone who's got 3 jobs or has achieved this cool milestone in their life, and I think you just get a lot of insight into just humanity as a whole. We really made it a point of how we did the interviews that we could still have relationships with people after and see them as guests whether we hired them or not. There was some big strategy around that.
Yep.
So I think that to me was just the most fun. And then you get to see your team actually grow. Like it's professional kids is how, maybe that's insulting, but professional children in a sense is how I see it, right? It's we're both dads and we love development and raising our kids. And I get a chance to do that with 255 people and offer perspective in that. So,
wow, that's a really cool take. Speaking of, how are the boys? How's your wife?
Yeah, the boys are good. We moved to North Vancouver to do this open, so we are literally staying across the street. So maybe the last week was the first time that we weren't happy to be back in the house. But overall, it's been awesome. The community is amazing. I don't know how familiar you are with North Vancouver. I wasn't myself before coming out here.
I've been a resident, at Lonsdale and 12th back.
Okay.
About 2008. Yeah.
It's my dad describes it as New York meets Pell River. You've got like big city offerings, a small city mindset, and it's the best of both worlds. So we've absolutely loved being out here, and it's really cool. So they're happy, they're doing well. I mean, obviously right now everyone's cooped up, so there's a few hours in the day that are a little bit interesting to say the least. But the two we have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, Jackson and Lennon, and lots of personality. No shortage of it for sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. They're 2 years apart, yeah? Or is it 3?
Almost 3, about 2.5, yeah. So
okay, yeah. Very relatable.
Yeah, you get that world.
Buckle up. Yeah. We talked a little bit before hitting record. We just talked for a second about something that I think is, given that you're still checking into the restaurant every day, or are you taking some time to yourself, or is it?
No, we were joking around when my kids in 20 years asked like, hey, what happened during the pandemic? I'm going to be like, I worked. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of change, don't get me wrong, but ultimately Joey Shipyards is about 6 days a week right now, just making sure that we're pivoting to do what we need to do, because ultimately that's feeding the kids. So
hey, that's a cool piece. So yeah, one day when we look back on this, and I think we're all very obviously hopeful that, you know, that moment does come sooner than later, where we're actually able to be sort of, you know, look back at this in retrospect and say, hey, what did that mean? How did I change? How did I grow? And I'm sure some of those things, you know, apply to you as well. What, what do you want to share aside from, hey boys, I was working?
yeah,
Can you tell me a little bit about your role sort of within the pandemic,
sure.
and what you would want to share with them as inspiration possibly?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd want to share with them that I think, you know, in life you go through things and they give you the strength to go through more things later on. You know, so if you think about the trials and tribulations you had as a teenager that seemed so overwhelming and crazy at that time,
Yeah.
they really set you up for being able to deal with the things in your 20s and then the things in your 30s, and I'm sure the things eventually in our 40s. So when I go through times like this right now, I refer back to different challenges I've already overcome and how did I do that? And then how does those same strategies apply to now? You know, so what are the same kind of methods over and over again that get you through? And what are the
Sure.
methods that you need to adapt in a new challenge? So I'd want to share with them that this gave me some very thick skin to, I'm sure, raise them even better as they get older and deal with more things. Because I, you know, at 1 and 4, there's some stuff going on, but I'm sure it's nowhere near compared to 11 and 14 what I'll be dealing with.
Right.
So I think some of this will give me that perspective and thick skin to deal with it. I also think that I'd want to share with them that we worked really hard to maintain their safety, but we also worked really hard to maintain 255 people that we did hire, that they still know they matter and they're cared for.
Yeah.
We got to lay off 95% of them in this ordeal. We're down to 15 people in the restaurant right now.
Okay.
But I'd want them to know that, like, yeah, like we pick up the phone every day and call our people and they matter to us, and that they still were the thing that made the job meaningful and enjoyable, even when they weren't physically in the building.
Yeah. That's super cool. I think what I hear from you, I mean, the first part of what you described to me reminds me of something that I've worked on for a lot of years. And I think it's one of the things that I definitely want to pass on to the boys as well, is that resilience piece. And the example that I was thinking of, or the way that I wanted to frame it, might not be the best way, but I think it's inevitable through our life. I've lived enough life now. We're both about the same age, so we're going to be 40 pretty quick here, is that we've got a pretty decent sample of how life plays out. Is
Yep.
that you're gonna get punched in the nose occasionally, and you're gonna hit the pavement, but it's not about that. It's about maybe accepting or at least allowing the possibility of that to be a thing. But then it's how quickly do you bounce back up? So you're gonna face some adversity, you're gonna face some intersections. But if you and I, as leaders in our household, or guys like us that have this incredible opportunity to like raise a family and, you know, be in partnership as leaders with our partners, that would be of super high value, and likely really help them throughout their life. And then the other part where it's like you're walking out the front door every day at some point saying bye to your family, tell them that you love them, you'll see them in a few hours or in a lot of hours, and that you're out in service of people around you,
Totally.
you know. And
The
yeah.
resilience thing is interesting. Like, I think about parenting, and you know, you hear people in general comment, say, like, you know, I'll think about myself. If my kid is at Walmart and he's losing his stuff, right, and he's throwing down or rolling on the floor, and you think, oh, I'm a bad parent in that moment, is how you'll feel or how you'll categorize it. But really, parenting isn't the action that's happening in that moment; it's the reaction to whatever the child does, and what do you do to teach them, and, you know, try to have them understand what they're doing is right or wrong or good or bad. And so resilience is kind of the same thing. You don't really get resilience until the action actually happens that you get to get resilient about.
Yeah.
You know, and this is giving us a chance to really work that muscle, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think you'll look back at these times going, wow, I really got an amazing workout of resilience. And I don't get every day, because I get to push a button and food comes to my house. Or, you know, life wasn't, when you look at 4 weeks ago, life was pretty simple comparatively to now, right, in certain ways. So, yeah.
What have you learned? So in that couple of weeks, what have what have you learned about yourself? Anything kind of come to the surface? I mean, I don't know if you've spent time thinking about this, but now that I've asked the question, is there anything, that sort of stands out where you're operating differently, or you've been able to, as you say, flex or exercise that muscle?
Yeah, I think I've learned I don't really care about winning, Cav, but I really can't stand to lose. And I've learned that I have the ability, I think, to, you know, I knew this about myself. I knew I could work hard. I knew I could put my head down, but did I know I could do that with a million mental things going on as well? there's been two massive aspects of how do you mentally deal with the fact that your entire business has changed. We've been joking around that we for sure have set the record for the most successful open to close in 90 days of a restaurant. Like lots of restaurants go down in 90 days, they're just really not that busy.
Right.
So I think you learn, but then there's also been this massive physical component of putting your head down and going, like I've learned how to cook, do cash, every single job in my restaurant, I now understand at a much deeper, better level.
Right.
So being able to take on a physical challenge as well as a mental one, I think has been really cool.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I have the capacity for both and to stretch myself. I've also learned that I have to give myself a little bit more breathing room at times. I think the first week I was really upset every day leaving because I was doing things that were new to my hands or new to my mind at that point and not very good at them. I'm not a great cook yet. So if you got to go through from us three, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But then recognizing that, hey, like it's not about that. It's about the fact that you're doing it and that you are doing something brand new and you're doing whatever it takes to adapt and thrive. So I think I've learned the resiliency piece. I think I've learned the perseverance, but I've also learned that the mental and the physical can come at the same time.
Very cool. If I know you well enough, I would know that you would take all that as an opportunity, I think. Yeah. And so we talk about that place, wherever that place may be, sort of on the other side of whatever it is that we're kind of living now. And this is sort of a broader belief for me as well. My hope is that people that I care about and people that are in my network that I have an investment in, emotionally or otherwise, that they're able to show up on the other side of this in a better position than they were before. So clarifying maybe some of their values, understanding the value of certain things that we have around us, be it relationships, be it work opportunity. And yeah, there's so many. Physical fitness, I think I have some really cool stories out there of people pushing forward an initiative. I mean, the podcasting for me has been aspirational for me for a couple of years. And I didn't know how to get to that starting line. So yeah. There had been sort of many steps taken to get there, but I'd never really put myself in position for the gun to go off and for me to kind of go at it. Yeah. And so, yeah. But here I am and here we are. And so
pretty cool about the podcasting thing, because it seems like one of those things that's probably pretty straightforward in your head. Like I'm going to roll some tape, we'll talk, whatever, but then it's not. There's actually quite a few steps that go into it.
Sure.
Which almost can create, because the expectation is that it might not be that challenging, then when it is, it almost off-puts you. Whereas in this one, you just said, hey, I'm just going to go and do it. And what a cool skill set to get out of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've gone I literally go, so we're on Zoom, of course. I hit record. I take this recording without editing. I put it into a Dropbox. I will share that with you. And then it ends up on YouTube. There's parts of that, the upload and the kind of technical part of it for me at first were challenging, but you know what I realized, Jesse, is that I get it. So I get in my way when it comes to certain things like this. And so when it comes to growth, when we talk about sort of ending up on the other side of this in a better spot with ourselves and like the opportunity to evolve ourselves. Yeah, man, there's been things where I've gone, wait a second, that's not true. It's just programming. Right. And so in a time like this, I've had my bullshit called out on myself more than otherwise. And I'm a guy that I keep myself in check, but yeah, there's like this new opportunity.
Well, I think that's what I mean about I'm going home and I'm upset because maybe I didn't do something great that day. But what I'm actually getting is the ability that I've managed to figure out how to pivot our entire business model overnight and how to manage differently, how to get more involved. And on the flip side, what will come out of this is so big and so important. It's not about that 1 hour that maybe performance wasn't the exact performance I want it to be. But you have to be able to take that step back, because it's hard in those moments to be able to recognize that or see what the bigger gift or bigger perspective is. And I would say that I feel a lot better about that where I'm sitting over the last few days. Yeah. And I think that was the biggest challenge the first 2 weeks, was just trying to understand that when you have no idea how long it's going to be or what it really means, or, hey, am I going to make money tomorrow, or what does this all look like? Yep. And then recognizing that, but hey, all of this is still going to be packaged as a gift if you choose to use it that way at some point. Easier said than done.
How do you ripple that down? Absolutely easier said than done. How do you ripple that down to the team?
You know, I think you have to get there first yourself, right? To create the space in your own head. And then when you create the space in your head, it starts to become that way. So, you know, over the last few days, starting to have one-on-one conversations just around, hey, what do you want to get out of this? You know, what do you see yourself getting out of this, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, whatever the timeline is, doesn't matter.
Yep.
What does success look like for you during this time? And how do you want to celebrate what you got out of it down the road? And starting to create that space for them to think about it.
Yep.
Yes. I think you and I are built. I think a strength of mine is I am hyper aware. Obviously, it gets overdone and hurts me in social situations and different things like that. But I think overall, you know, I don't know that that's where everyone's head goes to is, hey, what do I want to get out of this, or this is good for me, or all of those things, because it's overwhelming and overbearing, right? So I think just by starting those conversations and creating that dialogue, there's so much power that comes out of that.
Yeah.
We even got somebody yesterday to do like a personality assessment that we offer company wide. And, you know, it'd be really easy to be like, hey, we'll deal with that down the road. But no, let's actually get that assessment done now. You get more time with me one-on-one than you're ever going to get when there's back to business being normal too, right?
Sure. That's so cool. So I hear, yeah, so you're taking steps to develop leadership now, right? To put people in a position to win. The two big takeaways, I think, from what you just said, and they're high values of mine, are within sort of what it is that I do with leaders is, number one, that you are setting benchmarks moving forward. So 3 months, 6 months, what does success look like? Let's get creative here. Let's talk about sort of what this could, you know, what do you want this time that we're going to spend together to net out to? And then the most important one, which I think gets missed, but I know that the Joey culture is certainly to spend energy and time doing this, is the celebration piece. Yeah. How are we going to recognize those benchmarks, and how are we going to stop and go, high five, well done? What does that mean to you? You and I know that can be everything. That can be everything for an aspiring manager, for your hourly, for your current management, for hourly staff, whoever it is. If you're willing to stop and say something as simple as, sometimes it's just words, Jesse, great job. Hey, you know what? I see you. I see your hustle. I see you grinding. I appreciate you being here every day. Whatever that nets out to in your world, can I buy you lunch, or hey, pick something off the menu? I don't know. You know, here's a bottle of wine. Go enjoy that with your spouse at the end of your shift. Good on you, man. That's so cool to hear. And I think that's so quintessential, Jesse, Cera. And I think, so I've been into your locations as a general manager at Coquitlam, at your store at Robson and Burrard, yet to come into Shipyards, and I'm really regretting not making it out to the opening now that we are where we are, and I'm looking at your backtrack going, really? Was I really that busy that night?
We'll get you down here, don't worry.
But I think the thing that your guests feel, Jesse, and this is just a piece of encouragement, and one that you may not hear often enough, is that when we come into your stores, and I don't mean just the Joey brand, but like Jesse Cera stores, that we feel that we feel that as your guests, and you have been able to very effectively set off that sort of ripple effect of leading through being conscious and sort of, you know, how it is that they're showing up, or your commitment to the people's development around you is loud. Lost to kind of find the words to kind of extrapolate what I'm really trying to lay down, but.
Well, I have always seen my role is that if I create the space for people that are there to have a great time, enjoy it, feel heard, feel empowered, and feel no matter what they matter,
yeah,
then that just transitions down to the guest experience. You know, if you have the right people, right? So I think that's always been the biggest piece that I've wanted to create for people is that you matter, and let's just figure out why, like where that shows up and how can you really capture that every single day. Right. And, you know, only 15 people, I think I'd be lying, Cav, if I didn't say that I felt very selfish the first 7 to 10 days of this was going on, because I think I was so, like thinking about my kids and about my job and about am I going to pay my rent and what about my mortgage and what about this? Me. And it's very unsatisfying and very unfulfilling. It's not how I'm naturally built. And I think in getting out of that over the last 2.5 weeks has been really a lot more powerful to enjoy my time and ask my wife more questions and get my people happy and know that they matter and what are they dealing with. So. Yeah, but I'd be lying if I didn't struggle with that. I think I'm human still too, right? So
sure, yeah, good on you, man. That's a great awareness piece. I mean, it's one that, yeah, and I think we're still kind of evolving, and that seems to, in most people's lives, is evolving at least every couple of days. I don't know if that comes with a new wave of data or information that we've been fed, and kind of, you know, or it's like, you know, related to our government saying, hey, look, late May, late July, like it's kind of very indefinite. But yeah, it's evolving for everybody. I'll encourage you brother to brother and say, yeah, you know what? Those that are around us the most, and those that we care about the most, check in, ask questions, find out how they truly are. I found that when I do that, the sense of fulfillment that I get, and then my ability to do what it is that I need to do professionally, I'm just so much better at it.
Totally. I try to start my day with making 3 or 4 phone calls to partners and just checking in, like, how you doing? Are you feeling, are you safe? Do you have enough food? Whatever it may be. And by the time that hour is done and complete, it's set me up for a great rest of my day, and there's just such a great, and you also hear some really great stuff. Like, there's people out there just doing great things with their time right now. And I talked to somebody yesterday, they signed up for courses with Yale. Now, I don't know if it was like
cool,
because they were offering discounted online and all that.
Yep.
And I was like, it's just really neat to, again, you get inspired, right? So
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. That's so true. Jesse, a couple more minutes left. I'd like to ask you if you can leave people with some inspiration. Maybe your colleagues in the hospitality industry, guys that are at the helm of food service. And maybe not. Maybe dads.
Dads, go make sure your wives are okay. I think it'd be the biggest thing I'd say. And it's amazing how much the power of just how is your day. And I think we get caught up in our own days, our own things. You put kids to bed, and then you're just trying to survive. Maybe have a glass of wine. So ultimately, I think just when I sit down and ask how are you, it's amazing the brilliance that comes out of that simple question when I'm really listening. So it's not complicated, it's not hard. Maybe that's not inspiring, but it's simple. So go have fun with that.
Yep.
And then from a professional standpoint, like, we are learning right now that we can figure out what we can to survive and adapt. Business is the best thing to be in my opinion, always, because you get to learn and grow and you adapt. And if you don't make it. So, in being in it, we're learning how to figure out how to make a market and how to run a business with no guest interaction or no natural way of doing business. And it's so cool to be able to actually get that. And I think the biggest thing I'd offer is that, for me, what became clear was I kind of got clear as to what was causing me stress and where my head was at, and that I didn't want others around me to feel that same way. And once I got clear on that, I was able to really go after creating that space for me, and then as a result for those around. Yep. So if you can take on the weight of, hey, I want those around me to really enjoy what they're doing right now and know that they matter and they're important.
Yep.
It's not actually that heavy of a weight. It'll probably drop a lot of weight off your own back at the same time. So those would be the 3 things I would offer, I think.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I'm hearing check in with people around you that you love. I'm hearing a big component of self-leadership.
Totally. And, I always think when it's the most stressful is when you get to shine the best and you get to create that non-stressful environment for whether it be the 15, the 100, the 5, whatever it may be, people around you.
That's really cool. That's awesome, Jesse. The people that are around you right now, I think, are very lucky, including your family. Please send my best to Kel and the boys, and, make sure they're taking care of themselves. And once this is all said and done, we'll get the boys down to Lonsdale. We'll hang out at the restaurant, maybe hit a park afterwards, and get some good time. And before we're finished, I don't know if you thought I was going to let you get away with not bringing this topic up, and I didn't mention to you this before.
I know where this is going to go.
Well, I've been having my coffee in my Broncos Super Bowl champion mug. I'll take a quick sip out of it.
I remember when Gronkowski didn't catch the pass that allowed the Broncos to go to that Super Bowl. So it was the 2-point conversion. He just didn't see him in the end zone. Anyways, it's not about that right now.
Do you have any idea how good 2016 was for me? The Broncos won the Super Bowl in February, and then my son was born a month later. My firstborn. Yeah. Like, 2016 is mine. Here's my question. Tampa Bay. Sorry, for context, Jesse's a big Patriot, obviously a big Tom guy. Him and I have had like a fun sort of camaraderie, between our AFC rivals, because we were for many years the only 2 relevant franchises in the AFC, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Where are you at with it, Jesse? Are you going to have a TB12 Bucks jersey, or is it still going to be the silver, white, and blue?
I'll be hoping for the Patriots this year, but I won't lie. Tom Brady, his leadership is role modeling. I'll always root for him.
Yep.
I'll always hope he does well, but I'll say a Pats fan overall.
Attaboy. Love it.
And it was pretty funny, this picture. So the day that we had to, unfortunately, lay people off temporarily, we had 241 phone calls we had to make that morning. And on my 85th phone call is when I saw the news about Tom Brady. And that was leadership at its finest. I had to shelf that. Not think about it at all. Yeah,
Resilience.
Doesn't matter. Go back. But I think I'll be rooting for him to do well. But hey, go Pats.
That's awesome. Jesse, appreciate it, my man. Take care, okay? All the best, and we'll chat soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
You too.